Hello, you have reached part 10 in our quest to build a backend using the Chromia platform for this game. Note that this game isn't a toy example. It should be able to run without errors, supporting around 100 concurrent games and of course millions and millions of old games in the database. If you tried to do this on Bitcoin's chain, it wouldn't work, since there's only so much space on a single chain. But on Chromia, Goblin Chess will get its own chain, meaning that my traffic won't disturb other chains' traffic. Okay, sounds like a normal app, right? So what's the catch? When you push an update to a plain database, you get an almost instant response, usually containing the primary key of the row you just created. For a blockchain like Chromia, the transactions must first be gathered and replicated inside the network. Finally, when it's time to build a block, the node's databases will be updated all at once. Therefore, there's no return value sent back to the client. Instead, we must go back and query about our created data if we want to keep building on it. Take a look at the sequence from last episode. At the very end, Anna's game client managed to create a game, so it knows it should probably be in a game. But Pelle's game client doesn't know about any of this. Pelle will just keep calling enter lobby over and over. Okay, what about this? After Pelle has entered the lobby, before he calls the enter lobby next time, he should check if he is in a game. The first two times, the in-game query will just return null, so he keeps updating the heartbeat in the lobby. After Anna has created the game, she will call the in-game to fetch the game ID and to verify that the operation was successful. When Pelle's client is ready, it will eventually discover the new game. Pelle's client should show the board, and whatever player who is white should make a move. I want the in-game query to return many things, so I'm creating a struct to hold the data. Perhaps you know struct from C. In some languages, it's called record. It's basically just a class minus everything. Why do we need this? Well, we cannot send the entity back, since the entity doesn't really exist without the underlying table. We could have sent a tuple back though. But in this case, I want to send null if nothing is found, so it just feels easiest to create a struct for the return value. Remember that the query isn't a transaction, and it doesn't update the blockchain. A query doesn't have to wait for the next block, it can return immediately. A query doesn't have a signature. Instead, we pass the caller's pub key as an argument. Up until now, I've always used VAL keyword to declare variables. But since I intend to change these later, I must use VAR. The caller doesn't know if she is white or black, so I make two different selects, one for white and one for black. This player might have thousands of old games in the game table, but there should only be at most one where the is finished flag is false. It's good to know that every time we use an entity outside of a select to get a field like black player here, Rell will generate a new select and call the database to fetch the field. This can degrade performance if you do it often. Okay, this function doesn't fetch all the data in the struct, so we return a tuple instead. This is the external query that will be returning the struct. You can extract the content of a tuple via its name or its position. Here I extract the game from the first position. Kotlin developed a very nice syntax for null handling, and Rell copied it. Double bang means that we want to extract the value from a nullable variable. And if it's null, the code will explode. It's time to create the struct instance. Cursor thinks that we should use dot in front of every field, but that's invalid. I'm not sure it's idiomatic Rell to send row ID to the client. In this case, game entity doesn't have any other good primary key. Note that row ID actually is its own type, so I convert it to integer here. And if I were to send it back from the client, I have to convert it back to row ID. We're done. Thanks for watching and see you in episode 11.